we want to correct that immediately.
Good morning, honorable members. I see some of you are already in discussions.
Honorable members, welcome. Today, under the Donoughmore Executive Committee, we have the responsibility not just to legislate, but to manage the recovery of our nation after Hurricane Ditwa and the economic crisis of 2022. Each of you represents a key sector. Each proposal will be debated and must be submitted to the State Council for review. Let us proceed with discipline, clarity, and respect.
Honorable Chairperson, I speak for the 200,000 displaced people. Hurricane Ditwa destroyed our clinics, schools and farmland. I strongly urge this committee to prioritize health, education and assessment welfare benefits. I propose allocating 30% of the budget for rural recovery.
Chairperson, I must speak up. If we grant 30% to the one sector immediately, we leave nothing for debt servicing or the other 5 committee, and we are under the IMF program. And we cannot afford a 30% drain on social welfare alone without a plan for sustainability.
Sustainability? My people are in the mud without medicine. They cannot wait for an IMF audit.
Members, now we have our first clear conflict here. We must support the rural poor but also respect the national finances. Honorable Member, under this Executive Committee, how can this 30% be adjusted useful and efficiently?
I propose a work for welfare approach. Assistance will be provided in exchange for participation in community labor, which reduces overall labor expenses.
I agree if the rural MP accepts 25%. This approach saves hiring cost and targets assistance effectively. If the committee agree to the work for welfare model, I will support it.
We may not agree on everything, but this committee must move forward together. We will note a 25% of provisional allocation for rural affairs tied to a work-based welfare approach, subject to revision after hearing other sectors. If there are no objections, we shall proceed.
I agree, Honorable Chairperson.
Honorable Chairperson, helping rural communities is important, but we cannot delay our economic recovery. Investors are fleeing. In 2023, some financial companies were forced to stop operation. For example, the license of Bimbat Finance was cancelled, leading to job losses, about 15.1% in 2023. So, I suggest a low interest loans and tax incentives and also faster approval process. I propose a 13% allocation for private sector revival. Thank you.
But my people are starving today. Can they wait for investor confidence? If you take 30% for business on top of my 20%, we are already at 55% without hearing from others.
Member, if the private sector dies, okay, at the time there will be no tax revenue to fund social service next year.
Members, we now face a conflict between immediate humanitarian needs and long-term economic recovery. How can we adjust the allocations to balance both of these priorities?
Honorable Chairperson, Ceylon Ditwa inflicted losses of 14% of Sri Lankan GDP. Okay, so please see that. Honorable members, 14% of Sri Lanka losses inflicted of 2025. I will reduce my request to 20%. If the rural MP agrees that local private companies rebuild rural bridges, this helps villagers and keeps the private sector alive.
That creates local jobs while fixing villages. I accept the 20% allocation, keeping the budget balanced.
Very well. These adjustments are noted provisionally in the committee report for now. Let us move on to the next sector.
Honorable Chairperson, I speak for 8.5 million workers.
Cyclone Ditha destroyed homes and the 2020 crisis caused job losses. I propose an emergency employment protection grant for unemployed youth and women, including protection of EPF and ETF funds. I request 40% allocation.
Honorable Chairperson, I must step in. 14% is very large. We cannot fund low-interest loans to keep factories open. If grants take this much, tourism is weak too. The overspending risks economic collapse.
But human lives are stuck. We cannot wait for economic stability while people are helpless.
Members, we cannot afford both at 40%. Funds are limited and the economy is fragile. Overspending in one area threatens the recovery in elsewhere. Let's look for a workable compromise.
Honorable Chairperson, I will agree to a 20% allocation instead of 40%. If the Labour MP accepts wage subsidies paid directly to SMEs, keeping workers paid sustaining business.
It is a difficult compromise, but half a loaf is better than none. It is guaranteed that 20% of the budget goes directly out to keeping people employed. I will accept this trade-off for the sake of the committee's agreement.
Good. This provisional 20% allocation is noted for the Employment Protection Scheme, noting that this can be revised after we consider the full budget. Let's move on to the next sector if there are no objections.
Chairperson, we must face the reality. Our debt is too high. Under IMF's provisions, we must maintain strict fiscal stability to prevent another total collapse. I propose 20% allocation of the budget for debt management, with a temporary freeze on public sector hiring.
We cannot freeze hiring while workers are starving. The public sector is where many of our youth find their first job. You are focusing numbers over people.
If the numbers fail, the people will suffer even more through hyperinflation. We cannot have unlimited spending.
Members, the trade-off is clear. Fiscal control versus immediate employment. If we stick to a total freeze, we risk social unrest. If we spend too much, we risk bankruptcy. How can we solve this?
I will reduce the hiring freeze to the selective hiring policy for essential services only. If Labour and rural MPs agree to a performance audit for social spending, this protects the 20% allocation for them.
Essential hiring in hospital is acceptable with performance audits. If you allow those jobs to remain open, I will agree to the performance audits to ensure the money isn't wasted.
A vital compromise. We will note 20% allocation for fiscal stability provisionally, with essential hiring allowed. Let's move on to the next sector if there are no objections.
Honorable Chairperson, if we fail our youth today or if we lost our youth today, Sri Lanka has no tomorrow. So far, I have collected some evidence. Like a chart, youth unemployment is nearly 20% with young women most affected. They lack the skills for the modern economy. I propose a 15% allocation for skills-based training, paid internship and investment in digital jobs. This is not just spending, it's an investment in our future. Thank you.
I agree in principle, but 15% is high cost when my small businesses are literally closing their doors today. We need that money for immediate liquidity loans.
But if we don't train the youth, who will work in your business sectors tomorrow? You may have many business sectors, but no skills employees doesn't mean allowed, right?
Well, we are seeing a conflict between long-term skills and immediate business survival. How can we bridge the gap? Any opinions, honorable members?
I have a proposal for trade-off. I will reduce my direct funding request to 10%. If the SME MP and Urban MP agree to the paid internship within their companies, the government will pay training costs, but the business provide the workplace. This saves the government money by giving business free labor for 6 months.
Fair. It reduces budget burden and trains future employees. I accept this compromise.
Excellent. We will note 10% for the youth and SME program provisionally, noting that this can be revised after we reconsider the full budget. Now, let us move on to the next proposal if there are no objections.
Honorable Chair, our small businesses provide 45% of jobs. Mills are closing. I propose tax relief for businesses under 50 million rupees, faster online registration and low interest loans. This is a vital investment, not charity. So, I request to allocate 15% of the budget for this. Thank you.
Wait, we have already provisionally allocated 25% to the rural and 20% to the urban and 20% labor and fiscal stability to 20%. And furthermore, we cannot give blank check to businesses that might fail anyway. And we must ensure funds are not misallocated.
If you wait for a perfect conditions, these businesses will die. We need liquidity now.
Members, this is a conflict between speed and accountability. How can we adjust this?
I reduce to 7% if Fiscal MP fast tracks online registration. Loans are performance based. This reduces our need for direct case because it cuts the cost of doing businesses immediately. Also, I agree that all loans will be performance based. If a business doesn't show growth in 6 months, the support stops.
By cutting the budget to 7% and adding performance monitoring, you have saved our fiscal targets. I accept this trade-off.
Noted 7% provisionally. We now have a broad outline for all sectors, though disagreements remain. Honorable members, after extensive discussion and multiple trade-offs, we have not reached to a full agreement. We place before the State Council a provisional recovery framework based on the current priorities and emergency needs. So now let's discuss the provisional allocations for today's budget. First, the rural sector, 28%. As for the reasons, rural areas and workers are the hardest hit. We must prioritize emergency, health, welfare and rebuilding. Secondly, the urban sector, 22%. Because urban businesses and jobs need urgent support to prevent further economic collapse. Thirdly, the fiscal stability, 18%. As for the reasons, we still need to manage debt and maintain credit, but slightly lower to free funds for relief. The next sector, labor protection, 18%. It ensures wages, grants and job security for displaced workers. And the next sector is youth and skills development. We allocated 7% for this sector because future employment must be secured without placing immediate strain on public finances. And the last sector, SME sector, with 7%. Because small enterprises need survival level support within strict budget limits. These percentages are provisional and may be revised as conditions evolve. They reflect priorities, urgency, and trade-offs, not unanimous agreement.
I record my concern. Even 18% for fiscal stability is risky if emergencies escalate.
Honourable members, as agreement has not been reached, this committee must proceed by a formal vote. All those in favour of adopting these provisional allocations, please indicate. Those who are against? This proposal is carried by a simple majority. Dissenting views are duly recorded. Honourable members, We have taken difficult decisions and reached a partial provisional agreement. Why not? It is not perfect, but it balances urgent needs with fiscal reality. As a chair, I will carry this committee's decision forward to the State Council. The State Council will consider our recommendations, and this committee must remain ready to revise them as recovery continues. This session stands adjourned.
I am not satisfied in this budget, and the budget is not enough because our rural community has.
Honorable members, before you leave, Honorable members, it appears our worst assumptions were correct and also incomplete. Some districts we thought were stable have already begun experiencing floods, landslides, and food shortages. With our current allocations, they may not even cover half of the needs. That will be all for today. Thank you. Now, let's focus on the strengths of the Donoughmore Constitution. The first one is local participation.
Dual role of MPs.
Inclusivity
Is better decision through debate.
is practical experience, is ministerial responsibility.
Is consensus building.
Let's focus on the weaknesses of Donoughmore Constitution. First one is limited funding.
Lack of unity.
Major powers held by British officers. Is limited real power.
Is inexperience of leaders.
Sectoral power.
Slow decision making.
Unity is vital in crisis.
Flexibility is important.
Strong leadership is needed to manage money and debts well. Balanced democracy and speed.
Training future leaders works.